feel like it needs to be more static.
Oh, it's more static.
Yeah.
It's a new day and I swear it's going to I'll try doing more static then.
Yeah, let's try it.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. I've been in the studio this week doing some vocal production, and it's really gotten me thinking about how old I actually am now. I'm in my early 30s, and I feel like I've reached that point in my life where you start to realize that all the things you thought were very recent were actually a very long time ago now. For example, I had this sudden realization this week that I've been producing and recording vocals for over half of my life now, and that makes me feel really old. In that time though, I've done a bit of everything. I've worked with singer-songwriters and pop vocalists, which is very much my main gig when it comes to vocal production, but I've also worked with metal bands, I've worked with rappers, I've worked with choirs, I've even done voiceovers for Christmas ads for national radio. So I feel like by this point I've got a pretty good idea of what goes into a session to create a great vocal production. So with all that in mind, I thought I'd share some footage from this week's session where we tracked pretty much an entire vocal for a song which is very much a soft indie pop sort of thing. And I thought I'd talk about my process and how I approach these kind of vocal production sessions. I feel like there's a lot of great content about vocals on YouTube, but it's always quite technical focused and very much focused on things like the microphone, the preamp, the vocal chain, vocal editing, compression, EQ, all of these kind of things, which are important. But I think there's also a whole section of recording vocals which never really gets talked about. So I thought I'd cover that today and share with you some tips for tracking, producing, and how to approach a vocal recording session. I'm also still very much experimenting with this new format of YouTube videos, so please do drop me a comment below if you're enjoying this kind of thing. Let me know the kind of thing you'd like to see going forward. Any questions, any feedback, whatever, it's all super useful at this stage. So I mentioned on a video a few weeks ago that I was back in the studio working with Kate Lomas. Kate and I have been working together for over a decade now, which is another thing that makes me feel really old. But I recently got some new mics and I thought this was a great opportunity to try out these new mics. You know, I've been working with Kate a long time, so I know what mics sound good on her voice, but I added some new ones to the collection and I thought it's a good opportunity to maybe see if I've got something that can beat my trusty WA-47 from Warm Audio that I've always used on her vocal. So we started by doing a vocal mic shootout to see which mic was best suited to her voice.
I can promise that I'll stay away.
Yeah, great. There's some really nice bits in those verses. Let's have a listen.
Drifting in the fields, am I too gone catching all the feels? Am I so wrong? You say that I'm strange. Do you know which mic you want to use? Okay, living's just the same. It's just harder since you went away. Are you even there? In my sex dreams, do you even care? Can you?
Why does it sound weird? Something sounds weird.
Yeah, it sounds like muddy.
It sounds like it's in a tin can.
Am I so wrong? You say that I'm strange, but that's okay. Living's just the same. It's just harder since you went away. Are you even there? In my sex dreams, do you even care?
I think it's that mic that sounds best, which is the old classic.
This one?
Yeah.
This big boy.
The mics we were using in this case were the Warm Audio WA-47 that I mentioned. I was also using the Bee's Knees B87, which is a Neumann U87 recreation, which is kind of more focused on the vintage Neumann U87. We also had the JZ mics V67. So altogether, I had the Warm Audio WA-47, I had the JZ mics V67 and the Bee's Knees B87 all up against each other to see which was best suited to Kate's voice. In the end, the mic that won was the Warm Audio WA-47, which I've used on Kate's voice for years. It sounded really good. But I did end up also putting up the Bee's Knees B87 as well for some backing vocals, because I do like to use a different mic on the backing vocals just to get a bit of contrast between the lead and the backing vocals. You'll notice as well that the microphones that you're seeing here might also seem to be positioned quite high up and at a bit of a strange angle, and there's a reason for that. One of the most common mistakes that people make when they're tracking vocals is they sing directly into the capsule. And when you've got a condenser mic, which is naturally quite bright and detailed, and you're singing into it like that, you're going to get a really overpronounced top end. The vocals are going to be very sibilant and they're often going to sound really harsh. So a good way to offset that is just to drop the mic down a bit, or if you've got it upside down, to raise it up a bit so that you're not singing directly into the capsule, and then even just angling it a bit as well can help to offset that. So if you're noticing that your vocals are sounding really sibilant and you're having to constantly use de-esser after de-esser, Actually, you can address that at the recording stage just by offsetting the mic a little bit and not singing directly into the capsule. Another reason for the microphone being high up like it is just to open her voice up a little bit, because if I'm forcing her to sing upwards, then she's going to project more. And this track just needed like an airy texture to it and a more sort of open quality. So if I offset the mic and put it up like that, she's naturally going to open up by just projecting upwards. So all of these things are details which are really important, whether you're recording your own voice or you're tracking another singer. Mic positioning is actually a really underrated and overlooked way of achieving the results you're looking for. So I have 3 different microphone feeds that are all running through my SSL 4-channel preamp into my interface, and they're being recorded as 3 separate tracks. They're also recorded in a completely fresh separate session to the session that the production's been done in, and there's a reason for that. So what I like to do is take the instrumental, bounce all of the instrumental down to one stereo file, and then import that into a completely fresh session. And that's because when you're working on a production that's been worked on for a long time, when you work like that and you've been working on a big session, what happens is you end up with a lot of latency in the session. There's a lot of plugins, a lot of bugs, things that happen that are maybe just going to slow down the session a little bit. Sometimes it's adding a new track and loading up some plugins takes time. And this is all stuff that's just going to kill the flow of the session, particularly the latency issues. You don't want any latency issues if you're recording. So for that reason, what I'll do is start a completely blank session, import the instrumental, and then we'll track all of the vocals in that session. And then once we're done, I can import those vocals back into the main production session. And this just keeps things really clean. It's a much better way of working than trying to track everything in one session. And it's also just visually a bit easier to look at, where you're like, okay, I'm only focusing on the vocals today. I'm not going to sit there tweaking a synth sound or trying to mix the drums whilst I'm working on the vocals. You know, we're in a fresh session, we're just working on the vocals, and we're not going to have any technical issues. I keep things really simple too. I don't want loads of plugins in this session because that's just going to bring in the latency issues we're talking about. So I'd literally just have a clean chain of compression, EQ, and a reverb. In this case, I've been using the SSL native channel strip, and then I'm just using an instance of Valhalla Vintage Verb because I really love the way that the default patch sounds, and I just tweak it out a little bit every time. But I'm not changing and tweaking loads of stuff and trying to mix the vocals as we go, because I don't need to do that. I want to work with very simple setup. You can do this with stock plugins as well. You know, it doesn't have to be these plugins that I mentioned. Sometimes I will do it with the Logic stock plugins and just have the default compressor, the default channel EQ, and then an instance of a reverb from Space Designer. And whatever DAW you're working in, the same applies. Keep the vocal chain very simple when you're tracking. The next point, and a very crucial point, is to make sure that the artist is comfortable. If you're working with an artist, or if you are the artist yourself, just take some time to get comfortable, set up something which feels natural. You want to have plenty of room to move around. You don't want cables running everywhere. There's nothing worse than being tied up in cables, having things falling on you, having to step over things. Make sure the floor space is clean. Make sure that you're not feeling claustrophobic. Then once you're comfortable and you've got everything set up and you feel like the artist is in a good place physically, just run the track a few times. Don't jump straight into recording. Put the track on, hit record, and just get the artist to run through the whole song a couple of times. Get an idea for how it's feeling. How's the headphone mix? Are you comfortable? Do you need anything else? Just run the track a few times, very low pressure.
Nobody wants my love no more.
All right, are we ready?
Okay, yes we are, let's go.
The crucial thing here is make sure you're recording, because sometimes that take is the one. And you might find that you spend all afternoon doing takes just to try and get back to that very first performance, because for some artists, they just come in and they smash it first time. So every time you press play and you're getting the artist to do a run, make sure you're recording it, because you don't want to miss that. If they do get the ultimate take in take one and you've missed it, then that's your fault. The main thing is to just try and start in a very casual way and get people warmed up. And this is really important, particularly if you're working with an artist for the first time. I feel like, you know, artists are putting themselves in a very vulnerable position by being in the studio recording with you. Lots of people will be very self-conscious about their lyrics, about performing in front of someone new. It's a very vulnerable place to be if you're a performer. And it's your job as a producer to make sure that that person is as comfortable as possible. Even if you're recording yourself, sometimes it can feel vulnerable, like you're being vulnerable by putting yourself on the microphone. And it's just important to get comfortable, feel relaxed, have a laugh, have a joke with the artist, go out of your way to help people relax, and just don't be super awkward, because there's nothing worse than being in the studio with a producer who's just really, really awkward.
Are you able, is that too high to do in chest voice?
No, I can do it. I will do it in chest voice, yeah. I just want to work out the notes.
Yeah.
Have you got a keyboard for that?
Yeah, if you turn on, hang on.
Do you know what key it's in?
D major.
I knew you were going to say that.
Sorry?
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, why did you ask then?
Ah.
Learn how to give good feedback and direction as well. Remember that you're the leader of the session. You're the one that should be leading the artist. So take charge, but don't be rude and don't be an asshole. So often I hear stories from people where they've been in the room with somebody who's just been an arse to them, and it's made the whole thing really unenjoyable. Cool. I thought that sounded really nice.
Yeah,
I
that
think
felt good.
the tone was great.
Yeah.
Maybe just bringing in the timing a little bit
Tighten
more.
it up a bit, yeah.
A little bit snappier, but other than that, it sounded really good.
Little snappier.
All right. Again?
There you go.
Lovely snap.
A little snappier for you. Living.
I always try to offer some praise before saying things that I don't like. So, for example, I might say, like, that was great. I really like the tone of that take. Then maybe there was just a couple of notes that felt a little bit pitchy. Maybe we could run them again. But always start by offering something positive. Because if you just go straight in and go, that was out of tune, we need to re-record that, that's going to wear people down.
Was that more better timing? Was that snappier?
Yeah, there's one part in the second half of that verse where it becomes quite rhythmic.
But baby, I believe. James. And when the silence stops, you want that to be like more on.
Just like
less free.
Just a little bit more like rhythmic, but don't overthink it too much.
Okay.
So once I'm feeling like the artist is comfortable and the session's flowing now, we're ready to go, the focus for me is always on making sure we get the lead vocal right first before we do anything else, because that's the thing that's going to lead the whole song. If you're working in pop music or you're working in anything that's sort of popular music, the lead vocal is king 99 times out of 100. So making sure that that's right is absolutely crucial. Now, with some people, when it comes to the lead vocal, they'll just nail it pretty much straight away. You can put the track on, they'll do one pass and you'll be like, that's pretty much it. We'll do 2 or 3 takes just so we got some stuff to comp from, and I'm happy it's done. And some people are really good at that, but other people need a lot more hand holding. And sometimes it takes doing things in sections and doing things part by part, and that's totally okay too, because everybody is different. My experience has taught me that no 2 artists are the same, no 2 vocalists are the same, and one approach is not going to work for everybody. So it's important to have a few different approaches for doing this that you can pick from, and you can say, okay, this person's going to be able to do this very quickly, or this person's going to need a bit more help. How can I help them? How can we break this up to make it more doable and more digestible for an artist who perhaps isn't able to do the song in one whole pass? Yeah, cool. All right, let's do another.
Mm-hmm. Should I do it all the way through or half and half?
Whatever's most comfortable for you.
Let's try it all the way through.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
With Kate, for example, she tends to be an artist who works better doing things section by section. So we'll do the verse. We might start with the first verse and do a few takes on the first verse, and then we'll probably move to the second verse while she's in that same sort of vibe, and we'll do a few takes on the second verse. This is what we did in this recording session.
And I thought I'd have it all, so I took a little more, too much, and it gets me down. Always looking for a way out, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Cool, yeah, really nice. I think we've got it in those 3.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen.
All right.
We got the 2 verses right to begin with, and then we focus on getting the chorus right and approaching that in a specific way by recording the first half of the chorus and then recording the second half of the chorus, because it's very wordy. It's quite difficult to sort of get the breaths right and everything like that. So it's just important to take it slow, work on it step by step, and make sure, again, it's as good as it can be.
Yeah, I thought that first half was pretty tight.
Yeah, let's drop in on the second half, because I think the first half is good.
Yeah.
And also, I think you just need a bit of lead up to get that. Hey, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hey, hey.
All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people ask whether you should be editing and comping as you go, or is that something you should do later on? Is that something you get the artist involved with? For me, my approach is very much do a bit of editing as we go. I'm always taking notes. I'm always making sure I've got a notepad next to me. So if I like a certain take, I know that's the one we're going to go for. Then we can maybe chop in. And I'll do a little bit of rough comping and editing as we go, but I'm not I'm not trying to do loads because that's going to kill the session. Nothing kills creative vibe more than sitting there watching somebody edit a vocal. So spend a few minutes editing here, then move on, then spend a few more minutes tidying up here, but just don't go deep on the edit, because that is really not something that's going to inspire creativity and forward motion in a session. So we spent a bit of time in this session making sure that we had the lead vocal right, and once we were happy that we got it together, I took a bit of a break. We did some quick editing, comped the vocal together a bit. Kate's involved in that process as well. She's listening, she's saying I like that bit, I don't like that bit, and then we're maybe discussing the different takes and which one's going to work best. Then once we've got that lead vocal, we'll make a plan for what we want to do with the backing vocals, and this is a really important part. Don't just go doubling everything and having a left and a right track of everything and then a harmony for everything, because what you end up with is stacks and stacks of stuff that ultimately just clutters the whole session. And if everything is wide and big all the time, then nothing is ever wide and big. So you really need to pick your moments and decide what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So I might say, for example, let's do the chorus, let's get some doubles down on that. Let's maybe pick some spots in the verse for a harmony, but I'm not just blindly recording doubles and harmonies on everything. We're really picking those moments to give the track some elevation and give it some excitement. Another thing I like to do in these situations is to play with textures, vocal textures, because you don't just have to sing a song in one way. So with Kate, what I got her to do on this track is she'll record the lead vocal, which has this almost kind of babyish quality to it. It's a very soft vocal, but then back the chorus up with some doubles, which are more delivered, which are maybe a bit harsher, a bit harder sounding. And that's a great way of giving more energy to the vocal and supporting that lead vocal, but retaining that sort of airy quality of the lead vocal without making that sound too delivered or too harsh. So now let's do like a more delivered one.
Mm-hmm.
So one which is stronger.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, one which is less like airy.
Hey, hey, it's a new day.
Maybe take a step back from the mic as well,
Yeah.
just to give it a little less.
Hey, hey, it's a new day. I'm gonna run away, take a ride. Yeah?
Yeah, even further back maybe.
Hey, hey, it's a new day. I'm gonna run away, take a ride in the summer, sipping OJ.
Yeah.
Raise the sky.
Cool, let's try that. So play around with different deliveries for the harmonies, for the BVs, and just create contrast, because contrast is the thing that creates interest. So the more contrast you have in your song, the more you're going to have something that sounds interesting, and you're not just going to have stacks and stacks of exactly the same vocal performance.
It's a new day, and I said I'm
Do it again.
Huh? Yes, please.
Promise that you'll stay awake. Hey, hey, it's a new day, and I swear to God I'm alive. I'ma try till I'm not afraid. Make a mess, find a good place, make it till the end. When we go, I can promise that I'll stay awake. Promise that you'll stay awake. Hey, hey, it's a new day, and I swear to God I'm alive. I'ma try till I'm not afraid. Make a mess, find a good place, make it till the end. When we go, I can promise that I'll stay awake.
Let's try it, shall we?
I'm naturally going to that though.
Well, you need to stop. So by the end of the session, we pretty much got everything wrapped up. All the vocals were recorded besides a few harmonies, which still need to be figured out. But I can just send the session to Kate now and get her to do it remotely from her own studio, which is the joy of this sort of hybrid working setup where you can go in and work with a producer and get everything pretty much nailed and then just take it away to your own studio in your own time and just finish up some more creative bits. This is a really nice way of working. The important thing now, though, we've got the vocals recorded, is just to take a bit of a break from it. I never, ever edit the vocals on the same day in the same session, because I can guarantee that I'm just so like tuned into the finest details that if I start editing it, I'm gonna make a mess of it. So it's important just to come back with fresh ears, take a break from it, come back the next day. And what you'll probably notice is all of the things that you slaved over and spent hours obsessing over, you don't even notice the next day. The fine details have just gone out the window. And that's a good thing. It's good to approach it with fresh ears and come back to it with a new perspective. So I would recommend, if you're going to do your vocal editing, always do it the next day. Take a break from the track for a bit, because recording sessions can be long, they can be tiring. and you want to make sure that you're approaching it fresh and that you're feeling good. Then once we've got the vocals edited up, I can import that back into the session. We can either carry on building the production like we're going to do with this track. There's still quite a lot of production stuff to do. I've got to re-record a lot of the instrumental stuff because it's just sort of chucked down as a placeholder. So I'm going to be filming some of that over the next few weeks and incorporating some of that into these videos as well. So stick around for that. But yeah, we can either import it back in and we can build up the rest of the track, or maybe we can move straight on to mixing if the track is ready to be mixed. The main thing is take your time. Don't rush these things. Work fast, but don't rush these things, and don't cut corners. So if I'm going to summarize the points in this video, it's going to be always make sure that the artist is comfortable, even if you are the artist. Go out of your way to do everything you can to get the best sounding vocal, whether you're the artist or you're the vocal producer. It doesn't matter. Don't cut corners. Do everything you can to make sure the vocal is as good as it can be. And apply the 80-20 rule to this as well. 80% of a great vocal is about getting the performance right. And that comes from getting the artist comfortable and giving them good constructive feedback and keeping the session feeling positive and energetic and enjoyable. That's your number one job as a vocal producer. 20% of a vocal is the technical stuff, like the microphone, the preamp, the vocal chain. It's important, but it's not the number one thing, because so often you'll find the take that you love the most is the one that you recorded on as a scratch vocal on a crappy mic right at the beginning of the process in your bedroom when you were writing or whatever. And if that's the case, so be it. Remember that all that matters is trying to get the song to connect with the listener. And really the best way of doing that is by making sure that the vocal performance is genuine, it's heartfelt, and it's relevant to the emotion of the song. So hopefully you found something useful here. Hopefully something in this that you can take away and help improve your vocal production, improve your tracks, and ultimately have a better time doing it. So if you enjoyed this video and you found something useful, please do drop me a comment below. Like I say, this is a new format for me, and I'm still experimenting with a lot of ideas, so it'd be really useful to hear your feedback. Any feedback at this stage is good and it's welcome, so please do drop me a comment below. And before you go, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.